End of the Integrated Public Service Month, which started, of course, at the beginning of September under the theme Growing South Africa Together for an Ethical Public Service. And government says that this annual occurrence allows, among other issues, time to reflect on the impact of service delivery to communities. Now, this month-long event is a national service delivery improvement program that has been observed since 2012. The aim is to recommit and to rededicate the public service workers to the principles of Batho Pele and also good ethics and professionalism. To discuss this in further detail, we're joined now by the Public Service and Administration Minister, Senzo Mchunu. Minister, good morning. Welcome to Morning Live.
Good morning to you and the viewers.
Minister, let's just start by looking at and placing this into context. If this is a national service delivery improvement program, what effectively happens on the ground in terms of activities to give effect to it?
I think on the ground we have a mixed bag. We have some areas of excellence where delivery either by local government, the local government sphere, or provincial government sphere, or by the national sphere, areas of excellence. But we also have challenges where communities complain and have grievances, some being addressed, some not yet addressed. But we also have things that have been consistently running well in terms of service delivery, be it education, be it health services, be it roads, be it that are on course, either development or real delivery, but with some challenges here and there. And as I say, on the ground, we have a mixed bag. But I must admit that it is now quite common that communities are seen actually complaining and grieving about lack of services, be it housing or water, and in some cases electricity. Although we've seen quite remarkable rollout of electricity since 1994, rollout of water to people since 1994. But there are those communities that really are grieving and need our attention.
And those are many communities, Minister. But I'm curious to understand, how exactly does government gauge the values of professionalism? What are the key indicators that you use to measure public sentiment on public service?
Well, in terms of professionalization, it's something that we've taken on particularly since last year. And it relates to one among other things, that people that work for government really make an effort and should succeed as individuals and as collectives in terms of serving people without discriminating against anyone on any criteria. But also at the time when people require services from public servants, they are there, they are respectfully attended to, and with a fair amount of knowledge of what needs to be done in relation to whatever people want, and it gets done as professionally as possible, and using correct manners and actually using correct words in terms of exchanging with the communities or individuals that come for service. This is what Minister, we are encouraging, putting people first at all costs.
What I'm asking is, what measures do you have in place physically to gauge those values?
Well, we from time to time make assessments ourselves to say where are we with this particular service, because there are indicators all the way. Of course, in terms of ethics for public servants, one of the measures is to look at cases of ill discipline, cases of fraud, cases of corruption. The more corruption we have, the more unethical behavior we have, the more we realize this in terms of our measures. But when we see less and less of those, we then take it that we are achieving something or we're making progress. These are some of the measures that we are using to measure ethics and to measure professionalism. It's complaints that go to the Public Service Commission of different kinds via their hotline, which is very effective actually, and we actually follow up on it all the time to check what has come in this month, what came in, what follow-ups have been made, what is the level of satisfactory. Those are some of the measures that we are using: complaints and report backs and issues of corruption as they get attended to.
Who's responsible for that, one, Minister? And two, if you were to score the public service on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being bad and 10 being excellent, how would you score the work of public servants to date?
There wouldn't be any blanket scoring as you would expect, but there would be really excellent pockets in terms of performance by public servants. You would go up to give them even 9 out of 10, because look, I was in a conversation with one lawyer 2 days ago, and he says he took his mom to a hospital, and he says all the time he was there, he never saw any doctor, any nurse, any clerk in that area sitting down, sipping tea or doing anything. And he was there for long hours. And it was so busy that he himself wanted to assist at some point, and they told him that he doesn't qualify to assist. So if you went to that hospital and say, how do we measure services that are being, or the work ethic by those people, you would want to give them even 10 out of 10. But there are others. You go to schools, to a large extent, you will find that teachers are up and down, and they are working and they are in class. Principals are supervising. Myself, I often go. Last time I went out was in Mthatha Hospital, and there, I don't think that most people recognized me, except that I was with quite a few people like the mayor and so on. But I don't think that they cared that there was a minister and so on. The way they were busy attending to their tasks. So by and large, what is dominant, I can make that statement, is good work by public servants, and we appreciate it. We appreciate them for that, and we thank them for that, and we support them for that, and we want them to stand on their own as public servants in South Africa, servicing their communities and servicing citizens of the country. But of course, there are those bad apples. Like you would see that among police, for instance, there are those who have been arrested for wrongdoing in relation to corruption on PPEs. So there would be that. But what is dominant, and I still want to say so, is services being rendered by public servants to citizens of South Africa, and they are doing well. But there are challenges here and there, and we need to make improvements all the time. And that's why we go out in a month like this and say, well done to those who are doing well. And we say, we are behind you, we support you, we encourage communities to support you and appreciate the services that you are doing. But to those that are really bad and those that are corrupt, who are saying, we have put everything. For instance, in the department, we have recently appointed a chief director with to run a unit that is solely responsible for discipline, so that if there's wrongdoing, you get suspended, you get disciplined, and then you get whatever you deserve. So that is the attention, that is the extent of attention that we are giving. And right now, I'm in conversation with different departments that have cases of discipline that have run for over a year, and with provinces one by one to say, no, look, you can't have somebody suspended for more than a month. You can't have somebody getting salary, but no, for more than a year. And so, in fact, it's more than 60 days. Those cases should run, and if longer, it should be 90 days. So we do have all these things in place, and we're now implementing and are monitoring and are making sure we comply.
But how is it being implemented, Minister? Because how many public servants, as you and I are speaking right now, are actually on suspension for more than 3 months?
Well, I would talk about the case that we've dealt with, Northwest. Northwest, we discovered that there are 6 officials or employees that have been on suspension for more than a year. One of them has done more than 3 years. And it was this reason that we say, Premier, let's sit together, tell us what is it that has been happening, because when you suspend a person, you must have gathered a fair amount of information to a point where there's a prima facie case that would cause you to suspend a person, and thereafter you must there must be hearing, all of which must be concluded within 60 days. And so we then are saying to them, we're now intervening on those cases. We're starting with those that are more than a year, to those that are 6 months, and so on. And there are different departments. There's a specific number of departments that we have identified, and a specific number, I think we have about 4 or 5 provinces that are culprits on these matters. And then there are a few departments nationally that we are following. And this is a worry to us because, suspensions happen. Suspensions with salary does happen even in the private sector. But the difference is that we now need to understand and come to deliver on this matter, that you can't have somebody just drawing a salary, even passing or even getting assessments that qualify them to a higher notch of salary when they are suspended.
But Minister,
we have to manage.
It's a lot of talk. It's a lot of talk. And as you say, you now have to intervene and act. You're talking about one province, and I'm not even sure the officials that you talk of, at what level are we speaking about, because it would seem as though there are many more such cases to be had where people have been on suspension with full pay for much longer than the 90-day period that you are talking about. And in addition to that, there's the issue of public servants doing work with the state. About 1,500 odd of those have been reported, at least to Parliament. And how far are you on that, acting, in terms of how many people have been acted upon and have been arrested, because you were working with the South African Police Service as well in this regard?
Yes. Well, the number has since gone down from 1,500 to just above 500. Some because on further scrutiny, it has been established that no, it is not necessarily the case, because there are a number of criteria that lend us to actually concluding that so-and-so is indeed doing work or trading with the state. But the number has now been reduced to just above 500, which means that our work with the South African police is actually working and delivering. But once we come to the conclusion, therefore, that these ones need prosecution, of course, we push them to prosecution, but it's now in the hands of police, all of this that I'm talking about. Our job was to say, was suspicious of this 1,500 because of 1, 2, 3. We then say, over to you, police, because you are the department that has expertise in determining wrongdoing, and they have done their work. We really have had meetings with the minister, and officials on their own have been meeting, and this comes as a result of that hard work.
But there were 10 priority cases, Minister. There were 10 priority cases. What has been the outcome of that? Because it's been going on for a while now.
Yes, it has been for a while. Unfortunately, it is not necessarily in our hands. It is in the hands of police, and with whom we are in conversation on a regular basis. We'll hear from them, as we do from time to time, how far they've gone. And
but what are you hearing from them, Minister? Because when the police were supposed to appear before Parliament, they did not. But you say you are speaking to police. So what are they saying to you that they are not willing to come to Parliament to say?
No. In the first meeting, there was a complaint about, yes, we are attending to this category of suspicions, but the number of police that we have, and so on and so on. And we said, no. Let's just focus on work as we submit it. And we've gone past all that, and it's all with police. But I think they've gone beyond just regarding it as their general work, this one, in relation to corrupt officials, but not actually focusing on it. They have now established a unit among themselves of people who are focusing on this, hence this progress that we're seeing now.
Minister, I'm going to ask you to please just, if you can, stay with us for a little while, because we just want to talk about the increase and the deadlock in those negotiations with the unions regarding public servants' wage increases. But we'll continue with that after the news break, because we need to say goodbye to our SABC2 viewers as well at this point. So this is where we're going to leave it for SABC2. We will continue on SABC News after the 8 o'clock news.